Everyone, welcome back to another soul saking episode of Mind Over Masculinity, the podcast where that redefines strength from inside out. I'm your host Avik, and today's conversation is a wake up call wrapped in wisdom, heart, and whole lot of Brooklyn grit. Yes, so my guest today is someone who doesn't just talk transformation, he lives it. He's a survivor, a warrior, a devoted father, and a man of faith, a battery charger for greatness. Yes, I'm talking about Jon McLeod. So, welcome to the show, John.
Thanks so much, Avik. It's great to be on the show, and I appreciate you getting the word out about such a powerful but very important topic.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for joining us today. And before we delve deep into this discussion, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all the listeners. Dear listeners, John is a mental health advocate, career and life coach, author, and speaker who's faced death, poverty, violence, and doubt, and still shows up every day to help others rise. So he's on a mission to help men build real brotherhoods, lean into purpose, and stop wasting their God given time. Cap. So we're diving deep today into like how men can overcome emotional and the societal obstacles, not by walking alone, but by building a tribe of brothers that is supported by powerful and nurturing sisters. So why to wait? Let's get started. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you so much. I'm excited for this conversation. It's a very, very powerful one, and I believe more people need to have it. So thank you for doing the work.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining and supporting these very important topics. And this discussion is definitely needed. So, I'd love to ask you you have seen a lot, like I mentioned, poverty, violence, near death experiences. So, what do you think that kept you alive when so many others didn't make it out?
Well, Avik, if I'm being honest, it was God
Mhm.
first.
Yeah.
God kept me alive even when,
Hmm.
it was extremely hard to do so. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I was a 13-year-old kid that, had guns pointed at my head, had slashed by knives, had been in fights more than I can count. But
Hmm.
he kept me and he preserved me for so long for a specific purpose. And I believe he does that for everyone.
Hmm.
Everyone has a purpose. But specifically, my purpose was to help
Hmm.
people. And I realized that growing up, we didn't learn a lot about mental health. I believe that I thank God because he saved me
Hmm.
in so many different aspects, not just literally and physically, but emotionally. And he saved me mentally by hanging out with him more. The more I did that, the more peace I had, the more sanity I had, the better decisions I made. And I didn't always make great decisions. Won't sit up here and tell you that I was perfect. I still am not. Um, and so it was difficult, but we
Hmm.
survived. We didn't have much, but my parents did the best they could, and they got us to where we are today, through God's
Hmm.
leadership and grace. So, I've been, like I said, I had guns pointed at me. I've been shot at, slashed at, cut, jumped by 9, 10 people, and still survived. Um, Fought back in every instance. But there comes a time where I started to realize that how much that life started to weigh, even though it's just life. This is the way it is. It's just the way it is. That's the way life is. And I just kept telling myself that for years until I ran into some people that they've been through some things, but they were dealing with it a lot different than I was. And I didn't realize how different life could be once you deal with it. But I thank God that He introduced me to those people because now I'm educated. I educated myself all those years ago to be able to help people because I said if I come from the same place they come from and I didn't learn this until I got away from that place, it's my job to go back and try to help that place. So I spend so much time going back to help and trying to lift people up that is. it really drives who I am, and I believe that's what God called me to do.
Mm, true. Exactly. And like, do you believe that survival alone creates the resilience, or um, is it what you do with survival that defines the man?
That is such a good question.
Hmm.
That- does survival alone
Yeah.
dictate the man? No, it dictates part of him.
Mm-hmm.
It helps him to develop,
Mm.
but it doesn't, because that is to say that the man is fully developed,
Yes.
and he isn't. We evolve and continue to evolve and grow every day. Even if we stop
Mm.
growing physically, we are still
Yeah.
growing emotionally and mentally. It may be
Mm.
slow or some days non existent, but the survival or the ability to survive helps fortify your ability to survive, not just in the circumstance, but mentally. And it
Mm.
teaches you how to go through mentally. Now, all of that isn't healthy, but we get to those points and God gives us opportunities to find healthy ways to combat certain things, to fix certain things. And it's that thing that continues to drive and push you as a person, push you as a man. So
Mm.
I have conversations with a lot of guys that have murdered people, been in jail, sold drugs, been beat up, been at the brink of death multiple times. And when we have
Mm.
those conversations, one of the most common things is, but I'm good though. AKA, I can handle it. I was built that way. The streets built me this way.
Yes.
And when you have that, what people hear
Mm.
is that person is tough. That person
Yeah.
is strong. That person is they can handle anything.
Mm.
What you miss in that is this is the only way I know how.
Mm.
This is what life taught me, and this is my solution. So
Exactly.
in between those two positions
Mm.
is is a is an even more powerful solution that is driven by God. And what he says is
Mm.
basically, one, it is not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
That's in the beginning in Genesis. But the other part of that is, it's not just good for you. It's also not, it's just not good for you to be alone, but it's also, you have
Mm.
to be able to know how to seek help so that you're not just alone physically, you're not alone emotionally, mentally, in thought and in action.
Mm.
Survival teaches you how to get through as a man, as a person, but it doesn't teach you how to heal, overcome, and to become a better person. You have to learn that after you've gone through and after you've gone through the survival course. So now in that is this, how am I developing as a
Mm.
man? So once you finish surviving, you learn how to be tough, how to be resilient, how to endure. And then you have to learn the other part of survival that we don't apply is, you have to survive the
Mm.
aftermath, the healing
Right.
process,
Mm.
the reproducing yourself in a way that's not the way that you've been taught, so that you can sustain life in a better, healthier, and more powerful way. And that is, how do I survive the thoughts after the problem? How do I survive the pain or the healing process of the pain that I went through after
Mm.
the problem is no longer happening, after I'm no longer being hit, after I'm no longer being judged, after I'm no longer being attacked, after I'm no longer in physical survival mode where I have to look over my shoulder?
Mm.
And that's where the real war and real development begins in men, because they miss it by simply just staying in this one mode. I know how to survive.
Mm.
I know how to provide. I know how to do this. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is who I'm supposed to be. And they miss so much because they're not paying attention to, hey,
Mm.
I have to develop. Yes, I can survive, but I also have to survive myself and my thoughts.
Yeah.
And how do I do that in a way that's not detrimental? And most men do it at an
Mm.
incredibly detrimental rate, which is why the CDC in 2023 put out the statistics of the rate of suicide. It's
Right.
staggering compared to women.
Mm.
50% of the population is male, but 80% of the suicides are also male. 80%, Avik.
Mm.
80% in 2023 is what they discovered.
Mm.
So men are dying at an alarming rate
Mm.
because they're surviving, and you can only survive but so long.
Mm. Wow. I think a lot of men confuse surviving with healing. And what I'm hearing is that the choice to grow from pain instead of just endure it is what really turns men into leaders. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in your journey, when you realize that going it alone wasn't just working, that you needed a tribe of brothers. So, what do you say?
Wait, so you're saying that when did I realize
Mm.
I needed a tribe of brothers?
Yeah, yeah.
So I realized I needed a tribe of brothers when
Mm.
I had gone at my
Mm.
very wits end with handling things on my own. And I wasn't talking to anybody, or I tried to talk to my wife, but she can
Mm.
be empathetic, but she can't really understand because she's never been a man. And empathy is powerful and very useful, but it can't
Mm.
be used and applied to every situation that man goes through, or man or woman goes through for that matter. The
Exactly.
big thing is I I had to go back to that verse in Genesis that said it's
Mm.
not good for man to be alone.
Mm.
And I said, God, I need to be able to have a conversation with somebody without feeling like I'm burdening them. I
Mm.
said, and for me specifically, I was like, God, I'm the solution to so many people's problems. How does the solution find a solution?
Mm.
How do I how do I do this, and how do I get to this point of being able to support someone,
Right.
but getting support or trusting them to support me? And what he told me was staggering. He
Okay.
said, you won't know until you try.
Yeah.
He said, you got to try someone. He said, you talk to me all the time,
Mm.
and that will continue to get you far and incredibly far.
Yep.
But you have to, he said, I've created people so
Mm.
that you would have each other,
Yep.
not use each other. So y- you can have the conversation with yourself and find a solution. But when you
Mm.
come get outside of your own echo chamber, then it becomes, oh, well, I didn't think of that. Because naturally, we can't think of every possibility. We can't build every solution. Why do you think
True.
God created Eve?
Yeah.
Why God gave Adam purpose and had him lift up and take care of the animals?
Mm.
Because part of your purpose is not just to build things around you externally, it's also to build internally. And you need people and you need help to do that.
Mm.
So because he knew that, he gave us these solutions and these uh, abilities to have conversation with people that they may not be going through exactly what you're going through, but they very much so can empathize, especially when you talk to other guys. Their
Mm.
situations may be different, but the reaction,
Yep.
emotional feel, and everything are identical because it's innate to being a guy.
Yep.
So
Very true.
yes, it's nature.
Mm.
And so when you find others in nature that are going through the same natural things,
Mm.
you find the sense of community that gives you the inspiration or the wherewithal to move forward. So I had to, like, I was just talking to my best friend not too long ago in the gym.
Mm. Yeah.
And we said to each other and we agreed, hey, when we don't meet up and talk,
Mm.
life is a little bit tougher.
Exactly.
And when he said that, like, when he said that, he was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, it is tougher. We got to stop doing that. I know we get
Mm.
busy. I know we get, but you got to find your tribe and you got to rock with them and you have to
Mm.
create the space and give them expectations and set boundaries with them and say, hey, look, take it however you want, but here's the truth.
Yeah.
I trust you and this is a safe space. So when we're having a
Mm.
conversation, we can joke around, but some of this stuff is serious to me. Because if
Exactly.
you're truly friends with somebody, they're gonna
Mm.
want and accept that responsibility and hold that responsibility and it's sacred to them. And
Mm.
they're not going to fight you or belittle you. They want you to succeed.
Mm.
And when you find true friends like that, you hold
Mm.
on to them because those are the people that God designed, in addition
Mm.
to your family, those are the people that God designed to take you to the next level or to get you past this level.
Mm. Exactly. Ah, really amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. It is very, very important. And one more thing is you talk about being a battery for others. That's so powerful. I mean, how do you recharge when you are the strong one everyone leans on?
So, how do you recharge when you are the strong friend?
Mm.
That's a very, very powerful question and a very
Mm.
tough question to answer. But I've
Mm.
answered it more than one time because I've been the strong friend more than one time.
Mm.
One of the ways, or a few ways, I should say, that you can recharge is
Mm.
one, I tap into therapy.
Okay.
I have conversations with my therapist, and
Mm.
she helps me unpack, understand certain things about myself,
Mm.
about my reactions.
True.
Two, I also I go and make a list. In the beginning, I made a list of
Mm.
the people. Who do you trust when you have a conversation? Who can you trust and say, "Hey, look, when I go and
Mm.
talk to this person, I know he's not gonna laugh at me. They're not gonna disrespect me. They're not gonna belittle me. They're gonna encourage me. They're gonna lift me. They're gonna listen."
Mm.
And I put time on my calendar to go talk with that person
Mm.
to get my cup filled up.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is I talk to God about it
Mm.
because who better to talk to about the things that are happening to me than the creator? He knows and
Mm.
sees all things.
Mm.
And when I have those conversations with him, he often opens up my eyes to certain things that I can do to find relief
Mm.
or certain people that I can have conversations with.
Mm.
And then a bonus one I can say is it's very good to separate yourself and to shut off communication temporarily
Mm.
with the people that you are servicing or supporting.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the recharge is not solving anyone's problem.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not answering anyone. It's having time for yourself and creating those boundaries where no one can get in until you are finished with your
Mm.
time. Because you
Exactly.
don't want to sit up there and be locked into this cycle of helping and never getting help. Because eventually you get burnt out and you get emotionally and mentally destroyed. And things don't seem as intriguing as they used to, and then depression sets in. And then because you don't feel great enough, anxiety hits you because you're anxious about not feeling good enough for so long that you've been falling behind. And now they trust me? I have to do this because they're depending on
Mm.
me. And you create this anxiety or this anxious relationship between what you do for people and who you are.
Mm.
And those are two different things.
Very true. Yeah. Lovely. Great, John. Thank you so much for speaking the truth. And you breathed life into it. And from surviving gunshots to becoming a guide for others, you are definitely the proof that uh, pain doesn't disqualify us. It actually qualifies us to lead.
Yes.
Yeah. So, to the brothers listening, you don't have to bleed in silence. And to all the sisters, you are not just allies. You are, I would say, architects of our healing. So, start building your tribe, let your scars speak, and remember that there's no such thing as too far gone when you have still got breath in your body.
That's right.
So, yeah. So, John, if someone wants to connect with you, how they can connect?
You can reach out to me on TikTok as at Coach Jon McLeod, on YouTube at Coach
Mhm.
Jon McLeod, and on Instagram at Coach Jon McLeod. Um, you'll see the link in each of the bios, and there's a whole bunch of resources there to reshape how you think about this and other things, and just to help you get to the next level. I love supporting all of you, and uh, if you're listening, my mantra that I live by is I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Amazing, amazing. Great. So, dear listeners, this is your host Avik signing off from Mind Over Masculinity. Keep showing up, keep speaking out, and above all, don't waste your time. Your greatness is waiting. So, thank you so much.